fuck landlords. Like, if you're a landlord, you're a piece of fucking shit, in my opinion. And like, I'm not saying like there are people who are just trying to get by or whatever, but the fact that like there are people who, like, the fact that you get to claim like almost a third of somebody's paycheck every month just because you own a property or you inherited a property,
the thing is,
that's like a massive flaw in our system, because like,
it's huge.
That's like, so much of people's money goes towards housing, and the people who collect that money aren't really doing any labor. They're just collecting money off of people, and that's like pretty fucked up in my opinion. The thing
is that it's not just like landlords are shit. Landlords are still people, and the reason why they do that is because like, as a society, we've sold them the idea that property is like the thing to invest in and the thing you could make money from, even though it's an essential part of human existence.
Yeah,
which I think is like,
in the USA, people have been conditioned to believe that with healthcare, that you can make money off of healthcare.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think it's more of a cultural thing for society, well, globally and like in our respective countries and whatever, to like, you know, actually come to the realization that the things that we need are necessities, like healthcare, fucking housing, water, electricity, even the internet, shit like this, that the society is.
Well, these are things that should be commons.
Should not be profited from.
Yeah, they should be commons. They should be commons. They shouldn't be privately owned, in my opinion. And like, one of the things about England and in general, there used to be a huge emphasis on public housing, council housing, you know, being able to get on the list for public housing. And then, you know, the right to buy situation was what actually got my mom and I on the economic ladder. We had she had a council house, and then after a few years she bought the council house. She took the equity from that council house in order to buy the house that I grew up in, basically. So it was like a way of getting people socially mobile and economically mobile, basically, by giving them that kind of basic, you know, housing to begin with. But like, under the last like 10 years of like Tory austerity, like they've de-emphasized like public housing. It's also really difficult to get on the list for public housing if you want it.
Which causes racist resentment, because you have these like lower class, you know, white people who are like, oh, these refugees are getting into homes quicker than I am, and rather than actually look at the systematic issue and be like, hey, it's awful that there isn't enough public housing to go around, it inspires these racist sentiments, and it's awful.
It's fucked up, because one of the other policies that the Tories put forward was universal credit. Because before, if you were on benefits, they would pay your rent directly to your landlord to make sure that money was, your housing was like secure. So, but now they do universal credit, which means they give you a lump sum of cash, and it's kind of up to you what to do with it, basically. And obviously you have people who are on benefits who have gambling issues, drug issues, and that like lump sum that they're given is kind of entrapment, because they're expecting you to not pay your rent and to then get evicted and then end up on the streets. Whereas before, there was that kind of security that the government would pay your rent directly to the landlord. And private landlords, they don't want to rent to people who are on benefits now because of universal credit, because they assume that they're just not going to get their money. Whereas before, when the government was paying it to them directly, it was like an assured kind of...
They knew they were going to get it.
They knew they were going to get it. It was like an assured kind of situation. So like, housing is really difficult to find if you're a student. It's difficult to find if you're a single parent. It's hard to find if you're on benefits. It's really, really just like
hard to find if you have a cat.